Dear students, let us start with the first chapter of SST, that is when, where and how. This is the first chapter, when, where and how. The history tells us all about the changes that have been take place over the time. That is the main purpose of studying history. By studying history, we can know what was happened in the earlier times in our country as well as in this world. It targets to find out the cause about various events that have been taken place in the past and how they impacted people, the practices, institutions and the society that is existing today. So, by studying history, we can know that what were the happenings that happened earlier, which affected the institution, the society, the people all over the country. That the Turks and the Afghan and the Mughal, they came to India with a new custom and items of common needs. These developments deeply influenced our country and the economy, the society and the political systems. Here in this book, we will learn 16th century onwards. In this book, we will learn 16th century onwards. The era of modern period shows the major transformation from traditional world to scientific world. So, we have already learned many things in the previous classes, and in this chapter we will learn about the beginning of modern period, the features of modern period, the modern period in India, how to study about the modern period, and what are the different sources of knowledge about the modern period. As we have studied history of a country, it is divided into three periods: ancient period, medieval period and modern period. The time frame of this division is, however, not uniform for the entire world. That means the division of the history into these three periods, it is not uniform in the entire world. In Europe, for instance, the modern period began around the 16th century. In Europe, the beginning of modern period is around the 16th century, and it was very much a part of medieval history in India. But according to the different classification of periods in India, it comes in the part of medieval period. The modern period in Europe, it comes in the part of medieval period in India. The death of Aurangzeb, it was about 1707. The death of Aurangzeb is considered to be the beginning of the modern period in India. In India, the beginning of modern period, it was started after the death of Aurangzeb. Let us see more about the modern period. The European Renaissance laid emphasis on the spirit of inquiry. It resulted in scientific inventions and discoveries, which created an impact on all aspects of human life. Revival of interest in the life of human beings led to humanism, which found expression in music, painting, sculpture, theatre and literature. That is, the European Renaissance laid emphasis on the spirit of inquiry. That means the main European countries which woke up because of the spirit of inquiry. It resulted in scientific inventions and discoveries. That means, as a result of their spirit of inquiry, the European discovered many things, they invented many things, and which created and impacted all on the aspects of human life. Those all discoveries, inventions, all were for the improvement of the modern life or the improvement of the life of the people. The revival of interest in the life of human being led to humanism. This kind of revival, the new changes, it resulted in the spirit of humanism, which found expression in music, painting, sculpture, theatre, literature. That humanism we can find in the music of those era, in the paintings of those era, the sculpture, theatre and literature of those times. Next, the features of modern period. The different features of modern period, they are as industrialization, then comes nationalism, then urbanization, democracy, socialism, scientific and technological progress, humanism, etc. These are the main features of modern period. First of all, industrialization. The large scale production of goods in factories using machine power. It is called as industrialization. The large scale production of goods in factories using machine power. Because before the industrialization time, people didn't use machines to produce a large amount of goods, and only the cottage industry, the household works, all those things were at the earlier period. After industrialization, the people started industries, factories, and they started mass production of goods in a large quantity. The next feature, urbanization. Movement of people from village to town and cities in search of better quality life. That is, this modern period, it shows the movement of people from village areas to the urban areas. It is mainly because in search of the better quality life. In search of better quality life. The third point, the third feature of modern period is nationalism. Nationalism, it includes the patriotism and the growing identification with one's homeland. These two are the features of nationalism. Next, democracy. The government by the people, it is called a democracy. The government of a country which for the people, by the people. Now, all these definitions we have studied in the earlier classes. So, the government by the people, it is the main feature of democracy. Then next comes socialism. A system where state tries to ensure equitable distribution. It is termed as socialism. A state or a country which treats all the citizens equally, which gives the rights to all the citizens of that country equal. That is mainly considered as socialism. Next feature, scientific and technological progress. In this modern period, modern era, it shows different kinds of scientific progress, scientific and technological progress and exploration. Last feature of modern period in this chapter, it shows humanism. Greater concern to human welfare, dignity and values. These are the features of humanism. Greater concern to the human welfare. The country, the nation, all the nations, the country, mainly they started to think about the human being, their life, humanism, their dignity of human beings and the values of human beings. It shows the last point of modern period, last feature of modern period. In AD 1453, the Turks took control of the overland trade routes connecting Europe to the east. This forced the Europeans to look for alternative sea routes. The zest for adventure initiated by the movement called Renaissance also encouraged long sea voyages. In AD 1453, the Turks took control of the overland trade route connecting Europe to the east. For connecting Europe to the east, European countries to the east, the Turk took control for the overland trade routes. They started the trade routes between European countries and the eastern countries. This forced the Europeans to look for alternative sea routes. So as a result, the Europeans were looked for alternate sea routes. The zest for adventure initiated by the movement called Renaissance also called encouraged long sea voyages. So in search of new routes for better communication and the trade between the countries, the Europeans started long sea routes. Long sea routes. The invention of astrolabe and mariner's compass, the frequent use of the gunpowder, improved cartography and shipbuilding facilitated the process. Spanish and Portuguese explorers such as Magellan, Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama, they made their work in finding new sea routes across the globe. The invention of astrolabe and mariner's compass and the frequent use of gunpowder, these improved the cartography and shipbuilding facilitated the process. That means by the use of the compass and astrolabe, the Europeans started to make maps. The cartography means the art of making maps. So by making maps, they have to reach in a particular place, in a particular region with the right route. And the gunpowder, use of gunpowder, the cartography and the building of ships. Europeans started to build ships for the long sea voyages. Spanish and Portuguese explorers such as Magellan, Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama made their mark in finding new sea routes across the globe. This kind of long sea travel, this helped the Europeans to explore new countries. In such cases, some important names comes. The Portuguese explorers such as Magellan, Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, these all were the popular explorers. They discovered new lands, the new countries by their long sea routes, their long sea journey and across the globe. Discovery of new sea routes helped in new trade contacts, which led to the emergence of imperialism, that is the practice of controlling the territory, the political system and economic life of a less powerful country by a more powerful one. That means by discovering the new land, the new routes, the new nation, they started to imperialism, which led to the emergence of imperialism. Imperialism means the practice of controlling the territory. That means the Europeans started to control the territories, the lands, the country which they have discovered by their long sea journey. And the political system, they took control over the political system of that country and the economic life of that country, that new country. Economic life of the less powerful countries by a more powerful one. That is, the European countries were that time the more powerful countries. The new countries which they discovered, they are treated as less powerful countries. So the European countries started to take control over the new less powerful countries. The Industrial Revolution, which began in England in the mid-18th century, subsequently it spreads to other parts of Europe. It was marked by new inventions such as the steam engine, the loom and cotton jeans. Okay, the Industrial Revolution, it began in the England. All these things we have studied in the SS books also. So the Industrial Revolution began in England in the mid-18th century and subsequently spread to other parts of the Europe. It was marked by new inventions such as steam engine, the power loom and cotton jeans. After the Industrial Revolution, or when the Industrial Revolution starts in England, it also starts the use of steam engine, the power loom and the cotton jeans. The Industrial Revolution, after the Industrial Revolution, through long journeys, the sea routes, or through the new countries discovery, new lands discovery, Europeans got to know about vast areas all over the world which could provide cheap raw material and labor besides serving as markets for the finished goods. So, when the Europeans explore new countries, new lands, they also got the vast raw materials from there, cheap labors from there to work in their industries, in their major industries. And they also find a good market to sell the products which were made in those industries. The race for capturing these new unexplored areas resulted in the establishment of various new small colonies of European powers in different parts of the world. So, not only they searched for raw materials and the market for selling their goods, they also tried to make a overall control on the new land, the discovered country, the discovered land, and it resulted in the establishment of various small new colonies of European powers. So the new countries, many countries become the colonies of European powers, European countries, just like India was a colony of British. The next modern period in India. The successor of Aurangzeb after 1707 were too weak to maintain the unity and integrity of the vast Mughal empire. So, following his death, the political instability became rampant throughout those territories of the Indian subcontinent that were under the Mughal rule. Okay, that means in 1707, after the death of Aurangzeb, the successors of Aurangzeb, that means the rulers who came after Aurangzeb, they were too weak to maintain the unity and integrity of vast Mughal empire. Those rulers couldn't be able to maintain the integrity and unity of the Mughal empire. So, following the death of Aurangzeb, the political instability became rampant throughout those territories of the Indian subcontinent. So, after the death of Aurangzeb, there was a political instability in all the Mughal empire areas, the territories. A number of the provincial kingdoms, including Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad, declared their independence. These were known as succession states. After the death of Aurangzeb, a number of areas, a number of Indian areas, the territories, it included Awadh, Bengal, Hyderabad, they declared their independence. They got their independence. These were known as succession states. Some of the Rajput rulers became more powerful. The ruler of the Marwar state, Savai Raja Jai Singh, built the city of Jaipur. Many Rajput rulers become more powerful, and the ruler of the Marwar state, Savai Raja Jai Singh, he built the city of Jaipur. The Marathas gained power under the Peshwas until they lost power to Ahmad Shah Abdali in the third battle of the Panipat in 1761. The Marathas gained power under the Peshwa. Until they lost power to Ahmad Shah Abdali. In the third battle of the Panipat. In the third battle of Panipat, the Marathas gained the power until they lost power to Ahmad Shah Abdali in 1761. The Sikh founded their independent state under Maharaja Ranjit Singh. The Sikh founded their independent state under Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan, they established and consolidated the kingdom of Mysore. Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan both together made the kingdom of Mysore. Invasion of Nadir Shah in 1739. Invasion of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali, they dealt a severe blow to the already weak Mughal Empire. They helped to the Mughal Empire to become little strong. The lure of profitable trade brought the Portuguese, Danish, Dutch, French and English trading companies to the southern part of the India. Intense rivalry between the British and the French for sole control over this trade resulted in the three Carnatic Wars from 1744 to 1763. That means not only the English, the Portuguese, Danish, Dutch, French all came to India for trade. Their trading companies to the different parts of India. Intense rivalry between the British and the French for sole control over this trade resulted in three Carnatic Wars. Their rivalry, all these countries came to India for trade. Their rivalry resulted in three Carnatic Wars, which were from 1744 to 1763. The British ultimately came out victorious and concentrated on extending their political control over entire India. In all these wars, as a result of the wars, the British company, the English company, East India Company, they gained the overall control in the Indian territory, the overall control of the trade. The Battle of Plassey, 1757, the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar, 1761. These made the English masters of Bengal and gradually of the all India. These two battles made the English masters of Bengal and gradually the all India. They gained control over the Bengal province first and gradually they gained control all over the India. The East India Company transformed from a trading company into a political power. Gradually the East India Company, at the beginning it was only a trading company. The East India Company came India for trade and gradually it started to control over the political areas also, or the East India Company become a political power in India. The exploitative nature of the company's rule led to the growth of a common feeling of hatred against the British among the masses. The exploitative nature of the company's rule led to the growth of a common feeling of hatred. That means gradually this East India Company, English East India Company started, or they imposed some rules over the Indian territory, over the people of the Indian territory, and it created a common feeling of hatredness against them, and it resulted a very large extent of agitation against the English East India Company. There is a box in the next page, the page number 10, a fact file. Great creative genius Rabindranath Tagore's novel Ghare Bair, The Home and the World, which was set in the early 20th century Bengal, depicts the clash between the political ideologies of two sections of the freedom struggle, the revolutionaries advocating Swadeshi and the more conservative leaders called moderates, they opposing it. That means Rabindranath Tagore, the great writer, his great novel Gare Bear. Gare Bear. It means the home and the world. The home and the world, which was set in the early 20th century Bengal, depicts the clash between the political ideologies of two sections of the freedom struggle. In that book, it depicts the clash between the political ideologies of the two sections of freedom fighters. The clash between the political ideologies of the two sections of the freedom fighters, moderates and revolutionaries. The revolutionaries advocating the Swadeshi movements and the more conservative leaders called moderates opposing it. The moderates group, they were opposing it. Next is how to study the modern period. How to study the modern period. We are quite familiar with the various types of sources used by a historian in writing the history of a particular period. So, the great historians wrote the history of a particular period based on different sources. Based on different sources, they wrote the history. The advantage of sources for the modern period are that they are found in abundance and are also well preserved. The advantage of the sources. The main sources those historians used to write history, the main advantages of such sources are that they are found in abundance. Such sources were abundant. There were a very vast sources for the writings of history, and also they are well preserved. That sources were well preserved. Scientific methods are available in today's world which make it easier for us to preserve the records. Nowadays there are many scientific methods are there to preserve such valuable records. The sources for studying the modern period of Indian history are different. For studying the modern period of Indian history, the sources are different. These sources are of following two types. Generally, the sources are classified into two groups, two types: primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources and secondary sources. The primary sources include archaeological sources, which were the original documents. The archaeological sources means the documents, the original documents, and the original photographs and the newspapers of those times, newspapers, magazines, pamphlets, videotapes of those times. All the original versions of all these type of sources, these come under the primary sources. Archaeological sources, which include the buildings spread across the country. Archaeological sources means that old famous buildings, which were built on those time in India, which include the Gateway of India, India Gate, the Parliament House, Rashtrapati Bhavan, and etc. All these are considered as archaeological sources. These all which shows or which gives many types of knowledge, or which are the evidence of that old tradition of India, that culture and everything. The British built various buildings during 200 years of rule in India. The English people, the British also built various types of building in India. We know that the British ruled over 200 years in India. So in that very large time, they built many buildings in India. They represented style very different from the preferred by the Mughal rulers. Their building style, their architecture style, which were very different from the Mughal rulers, the Mughal style. Some of the important architectures are Gateway of India, Victoria Memorial, etc. That means the English style of architecture, the Western style architectured buildings. For example of that Western style buildings in India are Gateway of India, Victoria Memorial, etc. There is one more box in this page. Did you know? Gandhi's autobiography, My Experiments with the Truth, gives an insight into the early life of Gandhiji and the incidents which shaped his ideology. It is about Mahatma Gandhi's book, autobiography, My Experiments with the Truth. My Experiments with the Truth. It includes the incidents of Gandhi's life, Mahatma Gandhi's life, and the incidents which shaped his ideology. And Nehru, he wrote letters from a father to his daughter. Letters from a father to his daughter. It was written while he was in prison. That famous book he wrote when he was in jail, in prison. These letters, which were addressed to his daughter Indira, who later became the Prime Minister of India. In that book, Jawaharlal Nehru wrote many things, like the letters to his daughter, his own daughter Indira Gandhi. That Indira Gandhi, and she became the Prime Minister of India later. It gives us an insight into the great leader's personality and ideology. In that book also, it also helped us to know about various famous freedom fighters, those days great leaders, their personality and their ideology. All those knowledge we can get from these famous books, like a letter from a father to his daughter by Jawaharlal Nehru and My Experiments with the Truth by Mahatma Gandhi. Apart from these, many newspapers, magazines, letters and pamphlets belonging to the period are also kept in libraries and archives. That means in many libraries, like national libraries, there are many types of sources, like newspapers of those days, magazines of those earlier days, the letters and all such types of documents they kept in the libraries and archives. They were printed in different languages in different periods of time. Not only they are only available in those great libraries, but they have printed in different languages during different times. Some of these newspapers are printed even today, and the letters are especially important as they help us to understand the prevailing situation from a personal point of view. Letters are important because they show the prevailing situations of those days, those earlier days, in a person's point of view, the person who wrote the letters. The printed books gives us a detailed idea about the achievements in various fields such as art, literature, science and technology, medicine, etc. The printed books helps us to get knowledge about the art, literature, science and technology, medicine, etc. The books also tell us about social, economic and political conditions of a period. The printed books also give us the idea about the social conditions, the economic conditions and the political conditions of those days, that time. Biographies and autobiographies. Next type of books, biographies and autobiographies. Biographies and autobiographies give an account of the life and thoughts of famous personalities. Biographies and autobiographies gives the thoughts and ideas of great personalities of those olden days. Next things include the photographs, films, videotapes. Photo, films, movie or videotapes. These portray lives of famous people and events. That means these photographs, films and videotapes, it includes the lives of the famous personalities. The impression left after watching such films or video clippings are of more permanent nature than the events which we see with our own eyes. Those old videotapes, video clippings, it gives a better idea about the incidents of that time, that olden times, and it gives more. These video clippings are of more permanent nature. They are more permanent. They can be destroyed easily, and the events which we see with our own eyes, we can see the events of that time, that olden days with our own eyes. Those videotapes will help us. So all these sources, it includes in the primary sources. That means the primary sources include first one is archaeological source. Archaeological source means those old buildings, the British, English built buildings. For example, the Gateway of India, Victoria Memorial, etc. Then the primary sources include newspaper, magazine, letters and pamphlets. Newspaper, those old newspaper, old magazines, letters and pamphlets. For example of letters, we see Jawaharlal Nehru's the great book Letter from a Father to His Daughter. Then comes the printed books. The printed books are also a very important source for the history. The printed books include the books of art, literature, science and technology, medicine, etc. It also includes the biographies and autobiographies of that times of the freedom fighters or the famous personalities. Biographies and autobiographies. Then it includes photographs, videotapes, films, etc. Photo, video, films. All these gives a real picture of the incidents and the great personalities, their life of those times, those earlier times. These all are the main features of the primary source. The last topic, the last subject is the secondary source. The secondary source include report, reviews, articles and printed books based on the primary sources. Report, reviews, articles and printed books based on the primary sources. That means the primary sources were the original sources. The primary sources were the original sources. But the secondary sources, these are the reports based on the primary sources. The report based on the primary sources. That means if any other person writes about those old buildings, about the newspaper, magazine, letters of those time, the printed books, the report about some famous books, the report about some videotapes, etc. Report, review, and article about such old buildings, old books, articles, and all such printed books. These all which based on the primary sources, it is called the secondary source. So let us see what were the important points of this chapter. The main sources of the modern period of history. It was the main point of this chapter. The main sources of the modern period of history were two, the primary sources and the secondary sources. Before that, we studied after the death of Aurangzeb. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire became so weak. There was instability in the ruling of the Mughal Empire in India. That means the rulers which came after Aurangzeb, they were weak and incapable rulers. Weak and incapable rulers. Many of their provincial kingdoms declared their independence and were named succession states. After death of Aurangzeb, after the Mughal Empire became weak, many of the provincial kingdoms, the provinces, they declared independence themselves. European companies and conflicts among them, which included countries like Holland, France, Portugal, and the British. Many European countries came to India for trade. It included English and Dutch, that means Holland, France, Portugal, all these countries. Regional kingdoms emerged in the mid-18th century in different parts of India. Regional kingdoms also emerged in India in the mid-18th century in different parts. The invention of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali weakened the Mughal Empire. The invention of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali, it weakened the Mughal Empire. It weakened the Mughal Empire. The Battle of Plassey and Buxar transformed the nature of the East India Company. Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar. These transformed the nature of East India Company from trading company to political rulers of India. After these two battles, East India Company, it became a political ruler in India. Before those battles, East India Company was a trading company, but after the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar, they become the political ruling power in India. The exploitative nature of the company's rule led to growth of common feeling of hatred for British rule. The company, East India Company's ruling methods, the ruling policies, they were exploitative nature. That means with their different rules, they exploit the Indian people, the Indian mass. So it created a feeling of hatredness against the British rule. The Industrial Revolution started in England and spread to other parts of Europe to the beginning of an era of imperialism and the colonization. The Industrial Revolution, it started in England, and the Industrial Revolution, it spread to other parts of Europe. It was the beginning of a new era of imperialism and colonization. It was the beginning of imperialism and a new era of imperialism and colonization. That's all. Thank you.